welcome back to the VHS Vault. I am one of your hosts, VHS Chase. Next to me seems to be a happy Jason Roy Gustin. How you doing this week, mate?
I watched it.
Yeah. If you're not sure what he's referring to, guys out there, yes, we watched Freddy's Dead, the final
Oh, God.
and that's the movie we've been building up to this, Jason. We've been building up to it. This is supposed to be the high point. You know, this is supposed to be the Avengers Endgame, right? So, did we get that? Spoiler alert.
No.
We did.
Dear God, no.
You know, there's only one way to deal with when you've got a giant pile of manure, and that is to get your hands dirty. So let's get our hands dirty and get straight into this, the final nightmare. I didn't know if I was watching a beginning of a John Carpenter film when this film starts, because we get the obligatory setting up. It's 10 years from now. So I assume this movie's set in 2001, because the film was made in 1991. So if it's 10 years from then, it's 2001. But mysterious killings and suicides wipe out the entire population of children and teenagers. Remaining adults are experiencing mass psychosis. There is new evidence of one surviving teenager.
How do they know? It's not important. It's not important. Yeah, just move on.
This is filler. That's filler. That's front end filler, because they don't explain it properly throughout the film. So
no, they had no intention to. So let's just do an exposition dump and move on.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a Roseanne Barr cameo to film.
We will get to that, Jace, but we start off with the flying house. I really thought this opening was dumb and weird and awkward, and really brought nothing kind to the table, except it sets up the new rules of this universe, Chase, because we've got new rules now.
Of course we do.
Not?
Of course
and
we
the new rules is this kid, that boy, our main antagonist, who I don't even know who the actor's name is. I've forgotten already who this kid
John
is.
Doe. It's John Doe.
John Doe. Like, I'm sorry, kid. It's not your fault either. You're a competent actor. I could see it in you. You knew how to act. It's the script.
Wrong place, wrong time, kid.
Wrong place, wrong time. However, in this dream, and I'm trying to get my head around this. This is where it gets frustrating. Not only can he move through dreams, but he has the ability to punch through and make a gate between the dream world and the real world, which they set up with this shot with Freddy. This is opening in the first 2 minutes. So he's able to do it, and Freddy's able to see the real world, but he's unable to go in there.
I don't think... Now, I want you to know, they are not totally clear with this. But it was my impression that it's not the real world he's looking at. It is the dream world outside of Springfield, where he seems to be trapped for reasons.
That could be a fair point.
He can't get out of Springfield. And so that's the whole reason for his plot of sending John Doe out of the city, is to lure the one person who can bring him out of Springfield to Springfield so he can hitch a ride.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It's new lore that they're adding at the last minute, just like they did with Jason Goes to Hell, and it's dumb lore. It's dumb lore that we've never been exposed.
The way they introduced this kid in the plane, the Twilight Zone, which I thought they were going to really reenact that famous Twilight Zone episode and scene from the movie. But I was expecting Freddy to be in the plane window. You know what I mean? But kind of leads to nowhere. And then we get him in the flying house. And then he's now portal from one dream world to another. And I don't know. I'm lost. That's my point, Jason. I'm lost.
Yeah. It's just so incoherent and borderline disrespectful at this point. I had told you earlier, it almost seems like they gave this movie to they took this movie away from people who knew A Nightmare on Elm Street, but weren't doing a very good job with it, and gave it to people who kind of knew Nightmare on Elm Street and just thought, Oh yeah, they'll do something good with it, and they didn't. They did bad things with it.
Well, the
Let me put
problem
it to you
is
this
they
way: if you think
dismissed.
that, yeah, they dismiss so much. If you think that Jason Goes to Hell dropped the ball, this movie not only dropped the ball, it stomped on the ball, buried the ball, and put a latrine on top of the ball. That's how bad Freddy's Dead is.
Well, the thing is with the film, I think, is there are kernels of an idea that was allowed to develop to something that just is awful. Now, the idea of taking him 10 years in the future and we visit a town where there are no children, all that, it's a very high concept, a little bit ridiculous idea, but it could have worked in a better context. Here, you're advertising a film as Freddy Dead at the Final Nightmare, and you completely dismiss the 5 other films, canon, really, mostly, until we get a great scene later on where Freddy goes over the ways they tried to kill him off. It's probably only one of the funny scenes in the entire film.
Is it though?
Oh yeah, it's look in a look. If you find a full peanut and you're starving and a bunch of manure, you're gonna like that peanut no matter what. So
Am I though?
Emma, sorry, I just like the outline. Emma, yes, you would. You would. That's a funny scene, and it's
Would
a callback.
I though?
It's a callback to the first film, which I do appreciate. So
There's a better
Either way.
callback to the first film, which we will come
there
to.
is.
There
We'll
is.
get
There's
to
a
as
much
well.
better
Kind of
callback.
goofy.
Yeah.
Kind of goofy.
But it's a better callback. It's the highlight of the whole movie.
We do have an anchor here, though. We do have an anchor in this film that at least is something that I felt when, oh, I know this kid. This is Breckenmeyer, Maya, who is in this film. A very young Breckenmeyer, which I thought was funny.
My daughters were watching this movie with me, and he pops up, and I see both of their heads tilt, and they look at each other, and they look back at the TV, and they're like, "Who is that?" And they waited for a little bit. Who is that, Daddy? Who is that? I was like, "Have you seen Garfield?" They're like, "Oh,
John
Garfield."
Poor Breckenmeyer. That's what he's most known to recognize.
Yeah.
Now. Also,
that's
no,
pretty bad that's pretty bad whenever you look back at your filmography and go, "Oh yeah, Garfield. That was much better than that first movie I was in."
Yeah, that's right. Well, we also the other star of this film, and is really playing the Nancy role, and I think this is where this film, where really wish they hadn't killed Nancy off at this point, right? Because they would have wheeled her back out for the 6th one if they could have. Because this is this character played by, funnily enough, Elisa Zane. Do you know who Lisa Zane is?
No idea.
She is the older sister of Billy Zane, the great Billy Zane, the Phantom himself, and the bad guy from Titanic. Yeah, there you go.
Fascinating.
She is a very competent actress, I will say this. But she is so droll in this movie. So droll, and I don't care about her. And what could have been a really fun reveal about her character really has no meaning because she's got nothing to work with in this film. And she plays it so deadpan that I just don't care. I really don't care. And at this point, as they're introducing everyone in this film, Jason, I'm getting offended as we go along more and more and more at some of the stupidity in this film, right? Like, what do you think about this, Jace? This whole concept. We got to get straight to this.
Okay, so this movie makes the same mistakes that Jason Goes to Hell makes, and that's why I'm making so many comparisons. It's because whenever you are getting ready to put a character to bed, don't introduce new lore that we've never heard or seen of before. Now, like, oh yeah, surprise sibling or something like that, that's fine. But not like, oh yeah, he was a dream demon the whole time, or oh yeah, he was a parasitic worm the whole time. Don't do that! That is
a dumb choice.
So disrespectful to the people who've been watching it the whole time. Nobody said, oh, dream demon, that's an interesting idea. No, the first time I watched this movie many years ago, the second they said dream demon, I was just thinking, what? No.
Now, can you believe they did this, right? And it wasn't the Final Friday 94. This is 91.
Yes.
I'm trying to work out when it was. Like, who was dumb enough to follow who? Because that, like, who was to, like, if you'd seen this film, surely you would have gone, well, that's a stupid idea. Snake demon ghosts, that's what this franchise is reduced to.
And all of them sound like this. Come with us, Freddy. We will make you very powerful, okay?
Sounds like something from South Park.
Yeah, it does.
Come with me. They will
Sounds like
respect
the
your
Canadians,
authority.
like Terrence and Phillip.
Come on, buddy. Don't you want to be a dream master? Come on, you can kill all the children you want. Come on, pal.
That's it.
Don't call me pal, buddy.
Well, don't call us buddy, friend.
It's really bad. I mean, like,
It is.
really bad. You take something that was truly, like, deeped in supernatural, but is still grounded in some sort of reality. Right? You got this child killer, neighborhood burns him, you know, out of the supernatural, he's playing in the dreams, but then you've got to explain it away. A thing that even Hollywood in 1991 feels they need to over-explain everything. Completely strip the mystery out of the character. And what makes it worse, it's not even good. Like,
No.
stripping back of the character. There's absolutely nothing there. And you'll find, actually, all the main villains in Hollywood in that period, including Michael Myers, they all go through a similar phase where their lore just becomes horrible, you know? And certainly with this one, it really stinks. It really
And
stinks.
like I said, it's just a last-minute addition that did not need to be additioned at all. It was just, I don't know. I almost get the idea that someone wanted to go to the well of Nightmare on Elm Street lore and just take a dump in it. That's what I feel, just so they could leave their mark in some dumb way.
I don't know. I don't like the deaf kid in this movie. I think it's there's a couple of horrible scenes in it, but I thought it was a little bit disrespectful, to be honest with you. Some of the deaf jokes and that, and the kind of playing the stereotype. Good actor.
I
really
agree.
didn't like.
There was one bit, and we're talking about, as you said, finding the peanut in the manure.
Yeah.
There was one bit that I really did enjoy, and that was after he took his hearing aid away and he can't hear, and he's walking around the boiler room, and unbeknownst to him, Freddy's right behind him doing this, which, you know, he's being a clown because that's what Freddy Krueger's been reduced to, but you can't hear anything. The fact that Freddy's back there doing all this stuff and you can't hear it, if they would have made Freddy a little bit more menacing in the background, just walking behind him, scraping the pipes, but the kid not hearing it.
He's not menacing in this film, dude.
He's not. He's a clown.
They set it up from the...
Yeah.
Go on.
There's one part whenever he's taunting Carlos where he takes out a blackboard and gets his claws and just... And I'm like, that's it. That's the movie. That's the movie right there.
I think they do it up front with he comes out as the Wicked Witch. Like, they're setting it up in that opening scene. This is the level of film we're going to deliver in Freddy. But we're going to get to it. Might as well just get to it. There is two bits in this film that I absolutely gone, my God, this is embarrassing and cringy. And it's the cool graphics.
Oh, yeah. I have the power glove.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what you chose. Glove. Oh my God. I stepped on your toes and didn't even know it. Of course, like, now I'm playing with power. Oh, wow. That's very 1991 of you, Freddy. That's going to
very 91, really well. And I think I know where some of the money from the film came from. Now, and it's just really bad because it's like he's constantly in this every kill he makes, every time we see him, he's not even looking what he's doing, he's looking at the audience most of the time.
Yeah.
This is just a giant fourth wall breaking performance, and I know Robert Englund must be disappointed in this because there were some scenes that I'm sure he was looking forward to doing. That's the flashback scenes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he really loved the idea of exploring that kind of side of things. But wow, the rest of the stuff that he does as Freddy in this film, it's garbage, Jason. It is garbage.
It is. It just seems like this movie is desperate to find the next Welcome to Primetime bitch. That's just it. They are so desperate looking for that one-liner that they're just getting Freddy to just vomit out the most atrocious dialogue to do it.
Didn't they open that as a quote as well in the film? Yep. It was opened up.
You will recall In our review of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I said that line was the best and worst thing that ever happened to Freddy.
Yeah.
Because that line led to this movie. That
You have this
comedic
beautiful
line
quote
led
by
to-
Nitschke, and then it's like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Yeah, this is full circle. That line, although it was wonderful and funny and scary in Nightmare 3, it slowly rotted Freddy Krueger movies to the point that we got Freddy's Dead. And Freddy turns into complete clown shoes in this movie to the point that he's not even fun, even on the most juvenile level to watch. It's like watching a 4-year-old fart and go, ha ha, and fart again, and ha ha, ha, fart again, and ha ha, and then craps his pants.
Yep.
And then you're just watching him like, oh, dear Lord. You actually did that, didn't you?
And
now I'm playing with power. Oh, dear Lord. You crapped your pants, Freddy.
I just wonder what they were thinking when they were trying to come up with a style, like the tone of this film. I mean, I think at this point, this is like marketed. They're not even. Film is made for 12-year-old kids.
It's lowest common denominator.
It is lowest common,
absolutely lowest common denominator.
And like I've still got to ask this question: is like, why would this actor? I'm just trying to find his picture.
It's Yafayette, isn't it? Yafayette.
He's like, you're going to pay me this much amount of money to be in this film? Okay. All right, I'm in. I suppose I'm in.
Yeah.
Doesn't have much choice but to be in for that amount of money, I suppose. But
Yafayette needs a new car.
Purely, right? It's a money situation. And it's purely trying to add gravitas to the film. But he is a nothing character who does nothing.
He's there to be the reason why the other characters know things. But he never teaches them anything. It's just, I learned this from Doc. Okay. Yeah. He could have all of his scenes could have been cut and they could have said, I learned this from Doc. Well, we don't know who Doc is, but okay.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Yeah. And it's a shame because I love Yaphet Kotto.
I do too. I miss the guy. I love him. I love him in
He's
everything.
Such a powerful performer, but he doesn't die. He doesn't even die in this film. He's just he's just a walking bit of exposition, and not even exposition himself. He's the sounding board for exposition mostly.
Yeah, I mean, he's there at one point. Freddy Krueger talks to him to give him exposition. And, if I was Yafayette Kotto's character, not being from Springfield, my first thought would be, who are you? Freddy who? What? Why are you wearing stripes? Why are you in a Christmas sweater? But
no, why does Freddy feel like he's got a cartwheel towards him?
Why does Freddy feel like he's got to explain things to him?
I don't know.
Why does Freddy even have... okay, Freddy Krueger goes after teenagers. Why does he go after him at all? There's no reason for it.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
It's just there to justify Yafayette Kotto being in this movie.
All right, let's talk about the town of Springwood.
Oh.
All right, that is now morphed.
I think I've called it Springfield a couple of times.
Yeah, same. Springwood
Freddy
has
Krueger,
become this weird, bizarre kind of odd town where all the parents have gone a little bit nutty because there's no kids around.
Yes.
Yeah, we go to this weird country fair where there's only these weirdos in there. And, of course, we get the strangest cameo ever. Takes you completely out of the situation. Certainly puts you in a place and time. And that's where we get Roseanne Barr in this film.
And Tom Arnold.
Her husband, her boyfriend. But they were a power couple then. Because this is like made in season 3 of Roseanne, which was like the biggest show on television at its time, right? It was the biggest thing out.
Yes, it was.
And so they're in this. And it feels odd because this whole town setup is weird, Jason, because half it's like, there's these weird hillbillies, but the rest of the time when you're driving through the suburb, here's this middle to upper class, really nice suburb Right, and then it's mixed with this. When they get stuck and just doing a loop in the town, they just keep going around and around. They're stuck in this town. They go to this square, which looks like it's in the middle of a desert somewhere, and the next shot, and they're in this beautiful suburb. It just makes no sense.
Yeah,
And I still don't understand what is going on with that town. What kind of power has Freddy got over to change time and space?
I don't know. It's kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where his dream powers are working in the real world again for absolutely no reason. We see that a lot in this movie, where
Baffling.
Just the dream powers don't make any sense anymore. They happen because it's convenient to the story. And having Roseanne and Tom Arnold be in this movie, as you said, it was distracting. It took me out of the movie, and it dates the movie as well. Later on, we have a cameo from Alice Cooper, and it's a lot less distracting. It's just kind of like, oh, it's Alice Cooper, but he's playing a part. Roseanne and Tom are playing Roseanne and Tom.
Yeah,
they're in the movie for reasons, and we don't know what those reasons are.
I do like that moment with Alice Cooper, and seeing a teenage Freddy at that point.
Yes.
It's actually one of the nicer moments at the end of this film, because that's in the third act, when she goes into Freddy's mind, flying through an old Tim Burton set.
Please put on your 3D glasses.
Oh, dude, enough that they even show it in the film.
Yes.
Time to take off your, oh my.
I'm never taking these off.
But the whole idea of seeing Freddy as a kid smashing a hamster, I'm like, okay. But, probably necessary and the bit with his dad, which was pretty intense, I thought, with him taking it. And
I was more concerned. I was more concerned with the teacher allowing him to smash a hammer in the middle of a elementary school class. To me, that's just bad classroom management right there.
Yeah, fair call. No, and that's probably the only thing this is where they think they're clever by going, to take him out, we're going to go into his memories and we're going to kill him that way, because the way they kill Freddy in this film is really uneventful in my mind.
It made Freddy Krueger look so weak. Like he was a big nothing burger when they brought him out.
Yeah.
Because he had no fighting skills, he had no nothing. It was just basically that's what it was.
She's got like ninja powers from the dream world that's come out to the real world to pull that off, by the way.
Again, for reasons. Unexplained.
For reasons. And the way he does die is absolutely ridiculous. It really
is so
really
underwhelming.
And I've kind of jumped right forward to talking about that, but it was just absolutely horrific, But the character deaths in this, the deaf kid, the Freddy ears, I didn't mind the look of that. It looked gross. The Freddy ears, I didn't mind. The whole Q-tip for the whole head was kind of a fun gag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his death with the chalkboard and the pitch and the sound blows his head off, a la Scanner style. Yeah, it is what it is. But it's all just dripped in this nothingness because, when Freddy does it, he's looking at the screen, isn't he? He's fourth wall breaking.
Yeah. He's just hamming it up. Just dumb.
You know who else? The cameo you mentioned, who's hamming it up, but it actually is the only thing that works in this entire film, is Johnny Depp's cameo.
Yes.
He's hamming it up, but it works.
I love Johnny Depp's cameo. To me, that was the most clever that this movie got. And I thought it was a sweet callback to the first movie, because I mean that is where Johnny Depp got his big break, and Johnny Depp is one of the few actors who's been killed by Freddy Krueger twice.
Okay, is that a Black Myers whole death sequence?
Oh dear Lord!
Oh dear! Oh dear! Pulled into a TV because that's Stoner Breckenmeyer. Because Breckenmeyer, look at him, he's high. So he finds himself inside a video game, which we showed Freddy playing with, who is then affecting him in the real world. Mind you, let's put it this way. In the real world, they're seeing him bounce up and down, move around like a video game character, including sound effects.
Yes.
But they're not even proper video game sound effects, Jason. They're cartoon sound effects.
Yeah, and it is just, oh my gosh. I have no words for this sequence.
It is bad. And again, let's go back to these,
bad.
like the cool graphics, and that. It's just, I'm like, nah, I'm checking right out here. This is all the evidence you need to see. Okay, which demographic are we targeting for this film? The 12-year-old kid.
12-year-old kids, yeah.
That is marketed to a child. That is not marketing to an adult.
The 12-year-old kids who can't get into the movie because it's rated R. Yeah.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
You want to know what the whole Breckenmeyer sequence reminded me of? First of all, Freddy makes a quip about nice graphics, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like they actually look worse than they look worse than video games of that era. But there was a TV show, and I've been trying to surreptitiously Google it, and I can't remember what it was called, but there was a game show on Nickelodeon, I think, where contestants would get on a green screen and they would actually be put into a video game, and they'd have to jump barrels and like dodge bats and stuff like that. That's what that reminded me of. Like, oh, that's that old game show from Nickelodeon that nobody liked because it looked like butt.
It's just stupid. Like the whole idea of it's stupid, and all the kills in this are stupid. They are just stupid. Even Freddy's death is stupid. And there's not a lot of kills in this film. Let's point this out too. There's actually not a lot of killing going on. I reckon this would be one of the lower kill counts in this film.
Well, I don't think that they could afford a whole lot of actors because of, I don't know. It's like
Kodo got all those dollars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Deservedly so. Oh my God. He signed out before reading the script, surely.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But let's talk about you have a 6-film franchise that has built a studio, literally created a studio in New Line Cinema. And your sign-off of this film is a smile, a wink, Freddy's dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
And we're out. We're out of this film. And do you know what, Jase? Here's the other thing. Do you notice the credit scene? And so they start to show a compilation of all of Freddy throughout the films, right?
Yeah. They show better Freddy movies.
They really lean on part 1 and mostly 3.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those clips throughout that, you get a scene from 2 and 5 and little bits and pieces, but most of the shots are from 3.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch the credits. As soon as the movie was over with, I was like, nope, done.
I wanted to see what they did, and they showed a reel that went for about a minute, I reckon, Jason. It was all just clips, mostly, like I said. And then just with a still shot of Robert Englund dressed as Freddy going R.I.P. That was even dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It was really dumb. And it's I don't know what more to say about this because going into the characters and trying to make sense of their motivations in this film, there is no point. And it feels so disconnected from the previous films. So disconnected. It reminds me so much of Jason Goes to Hell. So much. It's just because I feel the same way with this film as I did with that film. That it's like a spin-off alternate universe version of the franchise.
I feel the same way. Only I actually think that Jason Goes to Hell was a more competent movie.
By much?
No, by a lot. Because I really think I think that Jason Goes to Hell had a daring idea and completely fumbled it. I think that Freddy's Dead had a bad idea and fumbled it and became an absolutely incompetent movie.
Look, I'll be honest with you. The kernel of the idea of having the town in a future where all the kids are dead is high concept and a little bit dumb, but there's something there that was just never developed properly.
Well, we were talking that Peter Jackson actually wrote the first draft for this movie. And
That's
the
crazy.
idea for that movie is crazy. And I wish that they would have gone that direction. The idea for that one is that Freddy's in the dream world and he's dying. He's like growing old and he's dying. And the Springfield teens, they go to these parties where they do drugs and then they go into the dream world and beat him up.
There's something there,
That's
isn't
awesome.
That's
awesome. Why didn't we go with that? No, we want to do something with video games.
Yeah. This is made for the opening weekend. All right. There is no thought of this being a film. This is made to get the kids on the Friday night and the Thursday night and the Saturday night, pack them into the multiplexes, make your money opening weekend, because as soon as reviews came out for this, and I remember back then too, I mean, it was pretty critically panned, and yeah, I mean, I remember seeing this with my friends, and we just, you're dumb as a kid. I don't ever remember loving it, but I remember, oh, that was so cool. No, it's not. It's not cool. It's definitely not cool. I mean, it's a real shame, and now it kind of, to me, I understand why only 3 years later, Jason, they come back for one more shake.
Yes. Much better shake.
Well, I mean, it took, and I think Wes Craven, this is where probably this film did the whole series a favour, because I think it was so hideous that Wes Craven went, we can't let this franchise end like this. And he would have made money. I mean, he was making money off of all these films, even though he wasn't involved with them. He was still getting his cut of the pie. So for them to come back, I mean, you want to talk about being bold, Jason. Like, how bold do you have to be, the director, going, that thing that I came up with, which they've absolutely destroyed, I think I'm going to come back to it. Pretty crazy, right?
It's crazy, but you know what? Spoiler alert. It's one of the best movies.
Well, we'll be checking that one out. Not next week, though.
No.
Because next week, I am being taken on a very different journey.
Yes.
And where am I being taken, Jace, for next week?
Well, I heard something that made me completely sad. You have never experienced the American classic, A Christmas Story. And so, to round out our Christmas celebration this year, you're going to be forced to watch it like Clockwork Orange style, with your eyes held open, eye drops in each eye, and you will learn the true meaning of an American Christmas. Because I've been to the house, I've been to the Mecca, I've been to Cleveland, I've seen the house.
Wow.
It's an amazing
This film was,
experience.
in my memory, because when I was a teenager, a young kid, especially around that time, I kind of knew everything in the video shop. My local video store knew every film that came out, when it was coming out, all that kind of thing. And I've never even seen this film in the video store, let alone cinemas, until DVD released it. Like, it was just not in our zeitgeist, which seems really odd, because it is known now around the world as being a classic Christmas movie. So
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better time to check it out. And then we'll get to talk about my first reaction of A Christmas Story.
Yes,
I'm
we
looking
take
forward
this
to it.
movie so seriously in the United States that there's a channel on Christmas Day that plays the movie on a loop all day.
Really? Like 24
Absolute.
hours?
24
Back to
hours, back to back.
That's
Just
crazy.
over and over and over again. And you know what? We put that channel on and we let it play in the background, and it's just
Wow.
so comforting.
Okay, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then after then, we will be back for part 7 of the franchise.
Yes, a new nightmare, because the old nightmare was terrible.
Yeah. So we've got a new nightmare, which also means that, and I'm getting really excited about this, because we are one step closer to really the kernel of this whole idea of doing Jason films and Freddy films. We're a couple of films away from seeing Jason versus Freddy versus Jason.
Yes.
Depends whose side you're on, I suppose. But it's Freddy versus Jason, the 2003 film. I think Yeah, it's been a long road, but we're getting there. So, but it ain't over then yet either, is it, Jace?
Oh no, because there's a couple of more movies.
Unfortunately, there were a couple of more movies.
Unfortunately,
One I had a better experience with than the other, so that'll be interesting when we.
I
get
think
to that.
everybody had a better experience with one than the other.
Yeah.
It's
All
the
right,
Jason
and-
Goes to Hell versus Freddy's Dead. Incidentally, the TV show I was trying to think of with the video game was called Nick Arcade, and I know somebody probably is going to drop that in the comments. Go ahead and do it anyway. It's all right.
Fair enough. Hey, you know what? We can ask the guys out there who watch the show what they can start to do, because we're moving into 2024. And as you know, we're coming up to the end of things and all that. So we would definitely love your suggestions on what possibly we should be watching next. So certainly please comment below, give you a suggestion. We've already had some really fantastic suggestions.
Yes.
Robot Jocks being one of them.
Robot
The
Jocks
Great
was
Jocks.
wonderful, and I loved it. I want something weird, something wacky, maybe even a little painful. Of course, whenever we get your suggestions, we do put them into a bowl, and we let the felines decide.
They are the true judges.
They are. They're so judgmental.
We all pray to the altar of the judges. All right, and we'll leave it at that, guys, and we'll catch you next time on the VHS Vault. See ya. Meow,
Thank
meow, 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 meow.
Goodness,
Oh, well
that is
behaved.
over with.
Yes. Yes, thank God. That was
I'm
such
never
a
watching
great
this
film.
movie again in my entire
Nah,
life.
that was it.
I would rather clean every bathroom in Dallas Cowboy Stadium with my tongue than watch this movie again.